Pro B's once again. Subscribe, and I'm delighted to be joined by the man himself from Counterpunch, Boxing News, Kurt Deville. How are you, man? Happy New Year.
Man, Happy New Year to you and everybody that supports you, that follows you on your channel, man. Everything is good this way, man. How you been doing?
Been doing well, you know. New year, new goals, new objectives. Hopefully, big fights get made this year as well. We saw one big one last year, Wilder versus Fury, TF1 versus Lomachenko. Those were the big fights that I thought kind of captured the imagination of the boxing public. Hopefully, we'll get some nice, juicy ones this year. But I've got to talk about a fight on the weekend that kind of leads towards bigger things potentially. We saw Ryan Garcia announce himself, make his own statement against Luke Campbell. What did you make of that fight, Kurt?
I think that fight was everything you thought it would be, or everything I thought it would be, at least. I think it had some back and forth action. I think it had some scares, some surprises. I think that Luke, he brought something to the table that Ryan never seen before. See, one thing I noticed right off the bat, Ryan comes out storming his opponents with his speed, and that's his specialty, his speed. He has power too, but I think his speed really creates a lot of that power because it catches you off guard. But he can crack too. He's like a young De La Hoya in there. It's just an orthodox De La Hoya. But he went in there in the first minute of the first round, trying to blaze him, thinking, you know what, I'm gonna get this guy out of here. But Luke Campbell didn't go anywhere. He didn't go anywhere. He stayed poised. He stayed controlled. He kept his guard up. And he knew what was coming. You can tell he did his homework on Ryan. And Ryan is basically, if you do the same thing, you're going to expect to get the same results. But in this case, he didn't. So he went in there blazing, throwing those left hooks, you know, those left hooks with his chin in the air, those left hooks, those rights, those left hooks, those rights, you know, blinding hand speed. Bah, 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 bah. And Campbell was still there. But what does Campbell do? Campbell, being a southpaw, pops him in the face, pops a buddy in the mouth. I don't know how long you've been watching boxing, but back in the day, they had a Evander Holyfield on a Burger King commercial. And he had these little bitty Burger King burgers, and they're little buddies. And he was the spokesman. He said, yeah, pop a buddy in the mouth, right? That's what Luke Campbell did to Ryan Garcia with the jab. And he got Ryan's attention, but not as though he expected until the second round. The second round, he got caught. When he got caught, it surprised him. It surprised him very much so. He got up and he knew, you know, okay, this guy got me. I can't mess around now. I can't mess around with this guy because now I know why this guy's a golden Olympian. Now I know why he went the distance with Lomachenko, Linares, Mindy. Now I know. Now I have to do something because, but the good news for Ryan was he did his homework too. Because immediately after the fight, he gave mad respect, but I'm going to get to that. He knew that Luke Campbell wouldn't storm him or blitz him. That's one of his things. And then here's the thing, maybe if he would have, it would have been a different story, you know? So, but he knew at least that much of Luke. He said, okay, Luke's not going to come forward. He's not going to come forward attacking at will. He's going to stay controlled and put his punches together like he knows to do. Third round, more of the same. But this time I think he was catching Ryan also with the left. So Ryan was able to withstand that punch because he knew the punch was coming. And I think the hardest he hit Ryan was when he knocked him down. And then when he knocked him down, it was like, okay, now I can take the punch. Fourth round, more of the same. Fifth round, that was a Ryan round, I think. And sixth round, I called it even. Seventh round, KO. Right? No, wait. Fifth round is when Ryan caught him, right?
He buzzed him.
It was the 5th round.
The left hook.
Okay, so I know it was the 4th or 5th. I wasn't really sure, but he caught Luke because Luke has a bad habit. When he spins out, he drops. He drops his guard. When he drops his guard, left hook is available. And again, that's exactly what happened. And then he turned his back. He should have never done that. He did a Pulev in retrospect. He pulled the Pulev. They don't care about the bell. You don't ever do that. At least if you're going to turn like that, at least turn with your guard up. He turned around, you know. Now, you're lucky that wasn't someone that had malice or evil intent, because he could have hit him in a place, and that could have been a Bernard Hopkins fight or something. You know,
for the ropes, yeah, Joseph Jr.
Yeah, so yeah, that could have been very bad, but that left hook to the body was massive. Luke respects him now, but I think vice versa with Ryan Garcia. You know, Ryan knows that, hey, he belongs. He belongs. But will it always be this way? Who knows? Now, that's my question for you. What do you think?
I think he's a good talented fighter. I mean, he definitely carries power, 100%. I was convinced over the weekend that when he hits you, it ain't nice. Let me tell you that. I do feel like Luke Campbell provided him a test, you know, with that knockdown to see if he could handle deep waters, and he passed the test because he stabilized himself quite quickly. Some fighters, when they get hit, they start to turn to jelly, and Ryan Garcia didn't do that. So I think his team and his corner kind of calmed him down, said, look, you know, it's a flash. They called it flash knockdown. Others might disagree. And they kind of got him to say, look, you know, you're winning this fight. Just keep doing what you're doing and go out there and show what you're about. What I do think is, I think when you're a young fighter like that, there will still be more questions that you got to answer, you know. And I saw on Twitter, I think some people on Twitter were saying, look, well, he's good, he's strong, he's powerful, he's talented. But what about the chin? What about the chin? And he got up, but what people are saying online is that's your first test and you went down, right? So there's some questions there. But he's 22 years of age. I mean, no one is the finished article at such a young age. So we're going to see a lot more of Ryan Garcia, Tank, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez. I just love the lightweight division. That is, I keep saying to everyone, that's my division. That's my weight class. That's what I'm watching. You know what I'm saying? I like the heavyweights, but I like the young guys coming through. And these guys are going to fight each other, hopefully 3-4 times each, whatever. Mix and match. Do you think there should be more learning fights for Ryan Garcia?
I mean, there can be learning fights. And I mean, should it? Well, that's if his handlers wants to take their time with him, because I mean, he's already been tested. He's already passed a test, you know. And one thing about a promoter, you have to know when to do something. You have to know when the right season, if the timing's right to push Ryan along like that, to pull an AJ in retrospect. I mean, that's up to them. Because if you know, a lot of people, a lot of fighters have been pushed to the limit and it wasn't beneficial for them. Mildred Taylor, for one, you know, that wasn't good for him. They should have took that time and kind of waited him out. Yeah, look, Ryan doesn't need to fight Tank right now. I don't think he does. Does he want to? I think he does. Why? Because he already said he wanted to before the fight. He said that Gervonta Tank Davis will be the beginning of my legacy, not the continuation or any of that other stuff. He kind of overlooked Luke in the sense, well, okay, well, you know, Luke is okay. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's like you should have started with Luke, because Luke, this is where it begins. Your rise to fame comes with steps. There's levels to this. So when you took that first step that first step is the beginning of your legacy. Not all the other 20 fights in the 17 by KO. None of those. Or was it 19? 17 or 19?
I think it was 19, yeah.
Not any of them, because we don't know who they are. Okay? I can't remember the last time I dug in my nose either. Okay? You're going to remember Campbell, and he's going to remember Campbell, because Campbell's done something that he's never faced. He's been to the canvas. You know, what I like about Ryan Garcia is Ryan Garcia, at least, he was honest. He was still a little cocky and confident or whatever, but he wasn't brash and obnoxious to the point like, oh, he didn't hurt me, this, that, and the other. It was a flash knockdown. He didn't say any of that. So maybe someone on his team did, you know, but he said he was a little dizzy. He said that. So at least he admitted, like, yo, this guy cracked me, you know, but you can't help but to think, what if that was Tank or Haney or Lomachenko even? Let's think about it. Lomachenko, another southpaw. Does he hit like Luke? Does he have the range like Luke? No. But if Lomachenko hurts Ryan, he's in trouble, because Lomachenko is going to storm him, because Lomachenko will come forward. He will get aggressive, and he will be right at Ryan. It would be a great fight. A fantastic fight. The fight I want to see is Loma versus where is it?
Teofimo again?
Teofimo again, yes. I want to see that again, but it's Loma versus why is it fleeting me? It's fleeting me. It's fleeting me.
Was Shakur? To go
no,
down
not
and fight Shakur
at
at 130? Yeah.
I would like to see that. I mean, that fight could probably easier be made. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Tank. Loma Tank. I want to see that fight, because that fight is not a fight that just sprung out of thin air. That fight's been in the talks for a few years now. A few years. So I want to see that fight. I don't know why I couldn't remember that to save my life, but that's the fight I would want to see probably first, because at this point, Loma's in the same situation as Wilder. Everybody thinks that, oh, I'm going to run through these guys. They think, you know, in both, well, I can do that to Wilder, or I can do that to Loma. Loma's done. Let's find out. Let's find out if Loma's done or not. Same for Wilder, but that's another story. Loma is a guy that wants a rematch. One thing about Loma, though, I would love to see him with any of those guys. And I hope,
definitely.
I hope, though, Loma, people would want to fight Loma now. I hope that's the case, because people will look at him like, you know what, he's older, he's 32. You know, oh, he's on his way out. His best times are behind him. He spent too much time in the amateurs, right? Collecting the gold, but that's the Ukrainian way. They don't understand. They have a different perception of how they look at sports. Olympics, the pinnacle to them, then professional is kind of like what you naturally do after you've reached the pinnacle, right? And he did it twice. But people, nonetheless, people are going to think, I hope they think that he's done, because I want to see those type of fights. And when they find out, like, oh shit, this guy's just as good as he's been, and Teofimo Lopez is just unique, at that point it will be a problem. But that's what I want to see, because I want promoters to be tricked. I want promoters and managers to make the wrong decision, to think something is easier as it really is. I want them to really overlook the idea of danger. Think about Fury Wilder 1. That was one of those fights that, oh, come on, man, this dude been on the couch for 3 years. You know, coke, alcohol, nandrolone, wild boar meat, whatever you want to call it. He's been doing all that and then some. Then he comes back to the sport and wants to tangle with one of the hardest punches in the heavyweight division. Why not make that fight? Yeah, I think that's a hook, line, and sinker, says the promoters, but the promoters were wrong. I want the promoters to think the same way with Lomachenko. Lomachenko took an L. Okay, he took an L. So I want people to think, okay, he's that easy now. Let's take on that guy. We want Lomachenko. We want to join Salido and Teofimo. We want to join those guys with that win. So let it begin. Bars.
No, it's exciting. And you did mention at the start of the conversation, Deontay Wilder as well. We mentioned Tyson Fury. We mentioned big fights for this year. Eddie Hearn said that they were talking. Bob Arum said they were going to talk straight after the Pulev fight, Joshua and Fury. And it's gone a bit quiet. And would you say that the Wilder factor has kind of intervened, and this mediation is taking a little bit longer, which is kind of holding things up, hence no forward movements?
Well, I'll say this. You can't say it's not. You can't say that's what it ain't. You know what I'm saying? The truth of the matter is we don't know, but to know or not, well, to not know, we have to leave that as a possibility. Because for everyone to say, nah, Wilder has no factor in this, we don't know that. All we know is Fury had an opponent and Fury didn't fight. December 5th. Caballero, remember him? Caballero? People don't talk about Caballero no more. What happened?
Yeah.
Caballero was the talk of the town.
And there was talk of Takam as well before Caballero.
Yeah, I heard Takam. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. You interviewed him, right? You interviewed him.
Yeah. Nicholas Takam.
Yeah.
He didn't give away much. He just said that they were talking at the time.
Well, I mean, that's all we've seen. So we don't know. So obviously it held weight, like I'm telling anyone. I'm like, Derek Chisora really summed it up the best. He was like, well, I know what people want. People want Joshua Fury. Of course we want that, but why does everybody want that fight when Fury already signed a contract to fight someone else?
It's not as simple as saying a contract.
He's
expired.
like, yeah. Well, here's the problem. If the contract was that expired, why are they having a mediation? If I'm Tyson Fury or I'm Team Fury, I wouldn't give that any type of energy whatsoever, except there's some type of loophole on how that fight is still valid. You wouldn't hear that type of stuff if that stuff was, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, okay, great. That's good news. It is expired. Good for them. It'd been held off for whatever reason. Okay, if it's bicep surgery, if it's coronavirus, if it's fans, if it's this, if it's that, if it's because of another fight they're trying to promote, because all that was the reason at one point. And then it expires. Good. Nice. That's a done deal. I was all aboard, but then the mediation hit. But then all of a sudden, Tyson Fury wanted to fight. He just wanted to fight. He didn't want to be off his game. He's been training. Give the man a fight. He wanted to fight. A fight was supposed to have been made. An opponent supposed to have been selected. But all of a sudden, there was no fight. And there was no fight because of a reason that didn't make sense to me, because of money. Wait, we know the money's not going to really be there. Tyson already admitted. He said, well, I don't need a crowd. Just get me a fight. So why would you say, because it's money, we can't pay him? That makes the WBC champ currently look very bad, and his team, and it just seems like, no, you got money to pay him. You got money to pay him. So something else is going on. So, you know what I mean? I don't buy I don't have the money all of a sudden because of this crowd, because of the lockdown, because of this and that. And then you have a fight that was supposed to have been, that was scheduled and was had, which was what, AJ and Pulev. It doesn't hold weight. You can't say, oh, well, we needed a crowd. Well, why didn't you do what Hearn did? You mean you can't do what Hearn did? That means you're losing to you. It's like this. They're comparing, you're going to compare those two. You're going to compare Warren to Eddie Hearn. Well, AJ fought. Why couldn't Fury fight? You see what I'm saying? So if Fury can't fight, then it has to be another reason besides money. And if they say if it wasn't enough money, what would they rather admit? We don't have enough money to pay him, or Wilder's holding us up. You see what I mean? See, a factor, the elephant in the room, I believe, is it's almost like Jarrell Miller. right? Was I taking steroids or was I taking sexual performance enhancing drugs? You know what I mean? So you kind of use the lesser of the evils, right? What looks worse? Sure, the penis pills are embarrassing, but it gets me out of the clear. Whereas on Fury's behalf and Bob Arum and Frank Warren, we're hung up on this, but I know we're still trying to sell the Joshua Fury fight, so we're not going to really make that as a reason, right? Because then that puts everything to a screeching halt. So they say, you know what, for shits and giggles, we just don't have the money to pay you, but we're really in negotiation with Wilder because there was some stuff that went on in the contract, and due to the time and the pandemic, that may give them a loophole. So we might need to hold off. So let's tell everyone, maybe, just maybe, it's a theory, that we don't have the money to pay him. You know what I mean? But Tyson Fury just wanted to fight. I don't think he cared about money. And look at it this way. Here's the counterpunch. He already gave his charity. His first Wilder purse to charity. Remember that? so it ain't money. It's not money. It's the fact that something else is going on and you didn't have that fight. Fury wanted to fight and he's still not getting what he wants as a fighter, as a talent. You know, so it's bad. And, you know, and I think you would have heard something of it if it would have been some displeasement with his people not getting him the fight. I think the Caballero fight had to be put on hold for a second. Maybe. Because if he would have fought, would have gave it up. But what I don't understand though, Wilder, well, if we don't get the Fury fight, we're gonna do all these, we're gonna check out all these other White and Ruiz and I'm like, and I really don't see that either. I don't see those fights happening. I don't. Why? Because Wilder has been the same person he's been since 2018 of December. After that fight was over, he's been wanting to fight Fury, and that's all he's had on his mind. That's it. That's all he's had on his mind is Fury. So Fury has been his main focus, and especially now since he's lost to Fury, whatever, regardless of what all that other stuff, he still wants to fight Fury. So I don't buy him saying, "Oh well, if I don't get that Fury fight, dude, I don't even think you would want to fight anybody if you don't get the fight, because you're trying too hard to keep that fight on the table." You know, so hey, good luck to him, but. You know, I feel that if Fury really wanted to fight, he would fight someone else. If it was out of the clear, that's what would have happened. Look at it this way. Let's compare this to another fight that's supposed to happen in a rematch that never did. Oscar De La Hoya versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. Floyd Mayweather Jr. was the B side of that equation. It was a guaranteed contract with that, right? Floyd, he fought someone else. He fought Ricky Hatton, undefeated British fighter at the time. I think it was like 34-0, I think. And he beat him. But what did he do right after that? He retired. He retired from the sport of boxing. Then he came back a year later, fought Juan Manuel Marquez. And that contract was void because he retired. Right? So if I'm Fury, if I really wanted to get out of this, I would announce retirement. Wait 8 months, then come back. Wait 8 months, then come back. Pull a Floyd Mayweather, because if you notice, that's why Oscar De La Hoya he's what's the word? Salty. He's salty now. You know, he's always been salty. That's why he always brought fighters up to fight. You know, he had Canelo and, you know, Guerrero and Victor Ortiz. He wanted these guys to challenge Floyd, so hopefully they can beat him, because he never got his second opportunity to fight Floyd. You know, because Floyd and Heyman were that good together. You know what I mean? It's like God and Jesus Christ, in a sense. You know what I mean? Good tag team. But I don't think in this case Tyson Fury is in that same position. I think Tyson Fury is under contract. Whatever's going on, they're not talking about it. Hopefully by this month, we will learn something and everybody will know. Despite what you hear, you will know it when it reaches certain source that's credible. So
we saw Shelley Finkel's just come out and reinforce that they're still talking. Mediation's still ongoing. If it ain't working, it goes to arbitration, and they're going to tell everybody what they must do, which is potentially have that third fight.
Right. So back again, just like Derek Chisora. I don't know what everybody's talking about then. It's going to have the third fight. The third fight will happen. And then I was like, you know, and that's pretty much, and no one wants to hear it. People will probably, shut up, you don't know what you, but it's true. Because I'm like, well, I mean, you can't call the man a liar. Tyson Fury did sign a contract like that. I think that was a mistake. I think they should have fought on a fight-by-fight basis. The first fight, it should have been like the first fight. Because you remember, Tyson Fury got out of that fight last year because he signed a 80 million pound contract with ESPN. He got out of that. And at that point, you knew that was real. That had weight. Why? Because Deontay Wilder could not penetrate anything. All he could do is piss and moan over the internet. And that's exactly what he did, because he knew, well, he didn't sign that contract to fight me twice. He didn't do that. He signed ESPN's. But eventually he did. And when he signed it, now here's the thing. The irony of that is when Tyson Fury finally signed the contract, Wilder already said that he signed the contract, which Fury was like, no, I didn't sign anything. If someone signed it for me, that's illegal. You know, I know a whole story behind that. But one thing people didn't realize, or should I say one thing that people, the one thing that happened was Joshua got beat. Then everything changed. It went from, it's not about the belts, to, oh, me and Andy Ruiz can fight for undisputed. But unfortunately, Tyson Fury already signed that contract by that time. Now he was trying to find a way out, just like Tyson Fury's doing now. So it's touch and go. It's the same. They've done the same stuff. It's just a different year, different situation. But it all comes down to AJ.
AJ's talking about he wants to take off Fury's head. And then Fury's like, well, you've never done that to anybody. So the trash talk is still ongoing to you know, in hope of this undisputed fight.
Yeah. Well, they're still selling it, which is a good thing. You got to keep the public enticed because, again, we don't know how it's going to go. It may go in Tyson Fury's favor. If that's the case, we will see that fight. But then if I'm Joshua, I'm holding off. But look, it's frustrating. And I can understand Team Joshua because it's like this. You're waiting to see what to do based on what someone else, other two guys do. In other words, why would he drop the WBO if Tyson Fury has to fight Wilder? He might as well fight Usyk, have another hard, difficult fight with a skilled fighter. And a lot of people don't give Alexander credit for being a heavyweight. That's okay. That's okay, because when he gets in there with AJ, people are going to see who he is and what he's made out of. Because then he will be with a tough, big, should I say, the new normal heavyweight that can crack with every punch. And Usyk, he has speed, he has skill, and he's going to need it. However, he's the shortest of those. He's 6'3", 6'4"?
I think he's 6'3".
So, yeah, he's going to have to use that size. But it's going to be a difficult fight because anybody that can take and make Vladimir Klitschko look foolish in the media workout. And Vladimir is the new heavyweight sized fighter, champion, model, example of what we have now. Wilder, Joshua, Fury, you know, those guys 6'6", 6'7", 6'5". Those guys are huge. They're giants of men, you know, and if Usyk can, and look at it this way. Usyk sparred Vladimir. He's no stranger to big men. That's what people don't understand. You go, oh, he's a cruiserweight. Well, understand, he was a heavyweight amateur. He wasn't the biggest. Just because he wasn't the biggest doesn't mean he doesn't know what he's doing. Everybody thought this. Derek Chisora. They thought Derek Chisora was going to hit him. If he catches him, he's gone. He's out like a light. It didn't happen. He withstood. He didn't look great, but he did what he had to do. He was able to buckle someone like Chisora. Did he knock him out like Dillian White? No. But did he hurt him like any other heavyweight probably could? Yes, he did. And he did it his way. The southpaw slick. And he caught him with those punches. You know, so Derek Chisora is one of the toughest they come. Would you call Derek Chisora chinny? Would you call him chinny?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Exactly. So no, I don't buy that. I don't buy into all that.
Lastly, before
I don't buy into he's not ready.
Just to kind of conclude, what did you make of those stories about Wilder changing his gloves in the second fight as well? Did you see that?
I did.
That's kind of surfaced a little bit late down the line. What was your immediate reaction to that?
Irony. See, when you reach for certain things and you reach, you're part of a group. You're part of a so-called narrative or a belief. You're part of this group of people that believe that, hey, yeah, all this stuff happened, which is rather stupid because it's just too many things we don't know about. So you have a lot of things like, oh, why was the camera turned off? You know, that type of stuff. You know, that's nitpicking. You've seen lately the Javon Hill interview, right?
Barbershop Conversations. I'm going to watch that. 4 hours.
Yeah,
apparently.
watch that.
I'm going to watch that. Yeah.
Well, the stuff what happens if you're pointing a finger at somebody, you have to remember that you're going to be subject to the same type of scrutiny and judgment because people are going to look at you, and then they're going to start looking at your gloves. Then they're going to start because you have comparison. They've compared Tyson Fury's gloves to the worst cases in boxing history, and it's clever. It's like, hey, let me make you guilty by comparison. And then the more we can compare you, then you become that association. You become associated with that. Okay, so you don't have to actually do it. But if you get accused of it enough, and enough people say enough things, people will believe it to be true, especially when people don't care to look into certain things. They look at a picture of a glove. Oh, yeah, that shit looks fake. He cheated. You know, they don't look at, okay, was JD's watching him? Yes. Was he watching the rap? Yes. All this came out. So it's really nothing to go on. Did the commission sign off on it? Yes. So what would you really have to go on when you went to court? Really? You know what I'm saying? Like, what would you, because here's the thing. If I'm Tyson Fury, and I'm going to say this, if I could be anybody, I'd rather be Tyson Fury. Why? Because Tyson Fury has the Nevada Athletic State Commission on his side because they signed off on it. Mauricio Suleiman, he's been shady at times. We know that for certain things, but he'll sign off on it, you know, because he's already went on record saying what he said. Now, as far as proof, Antonio Margarito, they found something. See, everybody thought that Cotto caught him. Cotto didn't catch him. Now, I don't doubt that he cheated Cotto because of how that rap looked. It was swollen. Like no rap looks like that. But I mean, this is like 2008, right? You know what I mean? This is like 13 years ago. So, you know, looking at something like that, you're like, well, damn, why is this rap looking like that? But they caught him the very next fight when he fought Mosley. They caught him then. Now, and I know it people will say, well, You know, the commission doesn't catch everything, so they didn't catch it. Well, true, but that's why you have another source, okay, of someone that knows what's going on. And in that case, in Wilder's case, he had JD's. You know, so you're gonna tell me JD sit there and didn't do his job? And if he didn't do his job, why are you blaming him? Why don't you blame him? You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, well, man, you sound you, and they get quiet on that. Like, he was there, you watched the raps, you watched him put the gloves on. I mean, what could you really do? Javon Sugar Hill, see, now he's speaking up for himself, really. You know, and they're bringing stuff about the first fight. It was like, well, I don't have anything to do with the first fight. I know what I did. So if you're accusing him of cheating, you're accusing me. So it makes sense, you know? So JD's was there to sign off on it. And like Tyson Fury said the magic phrase, if I cheated and I was allowed, that means I was allowed to cheat. That means JD's was in on it. You know what I mean? Because I mean, but no one, if you notice, none of those guys have went at JD's like they should have. They don't treat it fairly. But you're quick to judge Mark Breland for spiking water, as stupid as that sounds, for spiking water, and another thing you can't prove. So you bring that type of stuff to court, right? Because it's all going to come out, because accusations are accusations. Because what the defense is going to do, they're going to say, well, hey, you know what? Wilder, didn't you say he had an egg weight in his glove? Didn't you imply he had an egg weight in his glove? That's why your head had an egg weight for him. You know, that type of stuff. That stuff is going to come out. Then it's going to make it look really foolish. Well, wait a minute. You said this at first. Then you said that at first. Then you said this at first. And then, you know, Tyson Fury could really turn in and he has every right to, you know what? Let me sue you, because all this stuff here, you're trying to ruin my reputation as a fighter. You know, so it could get real messy on down the way. If this arbitration comes about and all this, that, and the other, it will get real nasty, you know? But again, you have to have the evidence. I had a dent in my mandible right here. This is not your mandible at all. That ain't even what that's called. You know, your mandible's here. Mandible's not up here. This is where your temple area. It's called I don't know what it's called. I hear it, and I don't remember the way they say it or whatever. But that's a totally different area of your head. And that part can be. It can be dented in, but your mandible can't dent without being broken, cracked. Yeah, it's the hardest bone, but you understand, if your mandible is a dent in it, that means it was cracked. You know, and if you know what that means, they're implying that, okay, he had some kind of spikes because of you remember, and now it's another thing, the blood in the ear. So that was scratches or spikes or some sort. That means that JD's really didn't do his job. And in that case, he's in on it. But I mean, if you're going to believe the spiked water, you might as well believe JD's. You know what I'm saying? If you can believe that Mark Breland did what he did, you can't believe that JD's did what he did, because you're already going off the chain. You know, you're reaching to the stars. So why not reach a little farther? You know, because it's not that far away if you're going to that reach. But it's all sad though, man, because I look at a man that can't take a loss. He hasn't accepted that loss. And I want Wilder to move on. I want Fury to be able to move on. I don't care for a third fight. But if Tyson Fury signed the contract, fight the man again and get it over with. Fight him, because it's going to always be that way. Now, the downside to that is, if Wilder fights Fury and loses again the way or a similar way he lost the second time, he may retire. And then he will be a fighter that retired from misadventure. You know what I'm saying? He won't be the guy that reached his full potential. And everybody will always, well, dude, you only fought like 3 good people and you lost to one of them. You know what I mean? And that was the best. So the top 3, you never fought Joshua, you retired. You never fought White, you never fought Parker, you never fought Ruiz. You fought Ortiz, and Ortiz was older by the time you fought him, even though you said you'd never fight him because he was a drug cheat. And that was back in 16. Yeah. You know, but you fight him. No, yeah, 16. You fight him 2 years later. Then you fight him again a year later. So he's a year older than what he was the first time. So, man, it would really be bad for Wilder. But I just want both fighters to move on with their careers. It left a bad taste in Wilder's mouth. He couldn't deal with that loss. You know what I mean? Because it's like this. Even if he believes, and I think he believes that happened to him. I do think that. And I think that happened because people around him deceives him. They will always deceive him. They've always deceived him. Everywhere from Shelly Finkel to even Al Heyman. He was a smaller tier heavyweight. They didn't look at him like they looked at Vladimir Klitschko. Let's be real. They did not. Shelly Finkel was the manager of Vladimir Klitschko. He was in there and fought AJ for all those millions. AJ was a young fighter, but he would put him in there, but don't put you in there, Wilder. That was something that you should have thought about as a champion. He was a lot older, been in the game a lot longer, but you were a baby champion. Anybody that called me a baby champion, I'm 33 and old, I'm going to slap them. You know what I mean? I'm going to slap them with my glove off, with my sweaty palm, with my hand paw. I'm going to slap them saying something like that. So, and then I hear Wilder wanted to fight Vlad. Now, that's something that a lot of people don't know. Okay, that was what was told to me, that he wanted to fight it, but he couldn't get the fight. Well, okay, that means your ceiling has been reached. That means you need to move on. You need to get someone that will get you those fights. But he didn't. So it's either he couldn't go anywhere else, he felt like he couldn't go anywhere else, or, you know, one of those reasons. But as far as Wilder is concerned and Fury, whatever they're going to do, let's do it and let's get it over with. You know, the trash talk, it'll be entertaining. The trash talk will be off the chain. The accusations are going to be flaring like ever before, right? You will have a lot of comment to make from and make videos towards. But at the end of the day, it's exhausting. It really is. It's lucrative. Now, don't get me wrong, it's lucrative, but it gets redundant. The same regurgitated shit goes around and around and around and around and around, to the point you're like, okay, we're just hearing talk. We're just hearing talk from this person, that person, this person, that person. Just like we did all last year, basically, until Wilder said, yeah, I believe that all. Yeah, that all happened to me. Yep, it all happened. Yeah, Mark, he's fighting the one. Yep. Right? You know, so let's just do more talking. I'm like Anthony Joshua. More action, less talking. You know what I mean? Like, let them get it. Hey, you got to fight Wilder. Sorry, no AJ fight right now. AJ fights you mandatory. You know, but I'll say this: if they fight again, and this is the aggravating part. Wilder pulls one of them Hail Marys, bomb squad to this day.
Alabama power.
And he catches Fury. And there is a ref that is not Jack Reese that doesn't give you the benefit of the doubt. There are a lot of referees like that. Each ref referees differently. If that had been Robert Byrd would have seen a hit like that, seen how Tyson Fury went down. He would have pushed it. Even if Fury would have got up, he would have pushed his head down and waved it off. I've seen him do it. If you don't believe me, look at the Dimitri Pitrog fight versus the first loss of Danny Jacobs before he was the Miracle Man, when he had the cornrows. He had the cornrows, you know, before he found out he had cancer in his back, right? His first loss was to Dimitri Pitrog, which was an undefeated Russian fighter, 20-0, 15 knockouts. That guy caught him. He shifted. Look, he shifted left and he came back right, caught this man. And if you notice Danny Jacobs, he has a bad habit. If he gets on the ropes, he's like a deer in the headlights.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what happened. He got clubbed, right? He caught that punch flush. It was almost like Devin Haney when he knocked that guy out on that DAZN card, when he had that hit him with that overhand right. It was like one of those punches, but he hit him. Danny Jacobs fell on his back, right? And then I think Chris Bird got the fourth count. Danny Jacobs goes to get up. He pushes him back down and waves the fight off. I'm like, that's the worst. You don't even know what condition he was in. This isn't a Costa Zoo versus Zab Judah, and Jay Nady allowed him to get up and his legs went, spaghetti leg, and he fell back down, and then they waved the fight off because of his condition. He didn't even get that opportunity. Danny Jacobs didn't. So if he has a referee like that, Tyson Fury is in trouble. But it just shows you that he had the right referee that night, because he even got up and he won the rest of the round. He buckled Wilder also. So people don't understand. He hurt Wilder. See, that's why I don't buy the whole, well, he was punching like this or punching like that. Each time he went down in that fight, the first fight, he fought back, right? He let Wilder know, I'm here to stay and I ain't going nowhere. And when he got knocked down that 12th and final round, he came back and made a good account of himself. And then when he hit him, I tell you what, look at my Instagram, my video. I have a video of it. He caught Wilder with a straight right, comes back with a left hook. Mm-hmm. Wilder buckled, 12th round. So that's evidence. Okay, well, this is the 12th and final round. You get hit with a guy you just dropped that you thought you knocked out. He comes back and hits you with a left hook and you buckle. Okay, that man has the capability of hurting you. That's why I don't buy it. I don't buy the whole, oh, well, he wasn't punching like that. Well, he got hurt in the first fight, so I don't buy it. He just had a different style. He wasn't like a Ben Davison, hey, keep jabbing him, keep the jab in his face, circle around him, stay away from him, all that stuff. Slap him with his glove, basically. No, Mr. Jones, or Javon Sugar Hill, should I say, taught him how to punch, take it to him. And the irony of this part, and I'm going to conclude on this, the irony of that is that's exactly how Freddie Roach wanted Tyson Fury to fight. He wanted him to be more aggressive to Wilder. And that's how him and Ben Davison got in this little disagreement. And if you notice, Freddie Roach wasn't there, but neither was Ben Davison. You know what I mean? Because he had a dream team the first time. He was like OJ with the lawyers.
Right?
So, yeah. He had Shapiro and all those cats. But no, if the fight's gonna happen, it needs to happen. And I think I just didn't really see the reason why Fury didn't fight him in the UK. He could have fought Wilder in the UK. He was getting 40% of the purse anyway, whatever that was. Right? Fight him for the third fight. Don't make a big fuss out of him. Fight in a bubble. Do what you need to do. Because if you go deeper into it, Wilder, he waited too long to do certain things, but he wants an opportunity to make amends of the ass whooping. And I don't think he wants to admit it. I got beat up the second fight. I need to get that back. I might not can continue if I don't. I'll be another Adrian Broner. You know what I mean? When Maidana beat him. And I think that's what Adrian's problem is. He's never got over that first loss.
Wow. Certainly in depth. Kurt, man, it's been a pleasure as always, man. I'm going to get some shut-eye, man, and sleep with a whole lot of knowledge, man.
Hey, man, it just spewed out. It happens. It happens. I'm going to continue watching Home Alone.
Home Alone. All right, Kurt, man, thanks for your time, man. Counterpunch Boxing News, Pep Talk UK. It's a party. We out here.